Perhaps no one is unaware of the legendary feud between the two brands Puma and Adidas. The most tense period of rivalry between these two brands was during the 1960s, when both were racing to collaborate with the world's top athletes to promote and influence consumers. However, there was an issue that caused both brands to suffer financially. The competition between them was exploited by the athletes themselves, who took advantage to drive up collaboration prices. During this period, there was a hugely famous figure whom both brands were eyeing: Pele, the greatest footballer of all time. Pele was revered in his homeland of Brazil and was listed by Time magazine as one of the 100 most influential people of the 20th century. The cost of collaborating with Pele at that time made both brands wary, because if they bid too high, it could be an astronomical investment. Therefore, on the eve of the 1970 World Cup in Mexico, these two brands decided to make an implicit agreement, known as the Pele Pact, demanding that both Adidas and Puma refrain from signing advertising contracts with Pele to promote their products. However, an opportunity arose that led to Puma outmaneuvering Adidas. In 1970, the Brazilian national team led by Pele was on the path to conquering the World Cup. This was also Pele's final World Cup appearance. Puma sent Hans Henningsen, a sports journalist close to the Brazilian team, to persuade the players to sign contracts with them. At this point, Pele was completely unaware of the agreement between the two brands and felt uncomfortable as Hans spent time trying to sign contracts with all the team members except him. Recognizing this, Hans offered to pay Pele $25,000 to wear Puma-branded shoes in the 1970 World Cup quarter-final match between Brazil and Peru, with an additional $120,000 for future advertising. This was an audacious offer, not even approved by Puma yet. Later, Hans reported this agreement to Armin Dassler, the head of Puma at the time, and Puma immediately agreed, meaning they officially broke the agreement with Adidas. Just seconds before the start of the World Cup quarter-final match between Brazil and Peru, Pele walked onto the field and asked the referee for time to tie his shoes. All the cameras focused on Pele as he tied his sports shoes branded by Puma. Puma even paid the cameraman to zoom in on Pele tying his shoes. The unmistakable stripes and the message they silently conveyed to the world were clear. Pele, the greatest athlete of that time, was wearing Puma shoes. This simple act immediately went viral, even before the concept of virality emerged. Millions of football fans around the world watched with excitement. The image of Pele tying Puma shoes became an iconic moment in football history at that time. The 1970 World Cup was also a very special event, as it was the first color television broadcast of the World Cup, bringing vividness to the matches. Secondly, the matches were particularly thrilling as the Brazilian team played explosively until the end. They defeated Uruguay 3-1 and Italy 4-1 in the final match. Pele scored the opening goal, and this legendary forward forever etched his name in the record books by winning his third World Cup championship. Indeed, a bitter pill for Adidas. Adolf Dassler of Adidas was reportedly very angry at Puma's move, but Puma didn't care as their revenue consistently reached record levels in the years that followed. In 2022, Puma's sales reached 8.5 billion euros, making Puma one of the largest sports apparel companies in the world.